Today we're continuing our journey as we set out to build the world's fastest M340i. In this episode, we make it run. But before we get to this, let me catch you up. This is Andrew's M340i, which formerly had 1,151 horsepower and ran an 8.6 quarter mile. But as happens with race cars, our last track day did not go to plan. But instead of accepting defeat, we're back building Andrew's M340i faster, lighter, and safer. Now, in order to get this car fully operational, we still have a ton of work to do, which we're going to try to accomplish in today's video. We have everything from the charge cooler, the ice box, fuel injection system, and really to just tie all the loose ends together to make this car work seamlessly. First up, while the car is nice and low to the ground, it's the ideal time for me to install the DI injectors and also the spark plugs. For the plugs, we're running the tried and true NGK Iridiums. They took this car to 1,100 horsepower and they're about to take it even higher. For the fuel injection, we went to BMW and we got a brand new set of DI injectors. On these cars, even when we're pushing 11, 12, 13, 1,400 horsepower, we always use stock BMW injectors, and then any supplemental fuel goes through the port injection system. And as you can see, we have some special BMW tools from BMW to get those installed. And then to finish it off, we have some brand new BMW OEM coil packs, perfectly capable to get this car to those power goals. So with that said, let's get it installed. All right, the direct injectors are fully installed, the spark plugs are fully installed, and the exhaust is on the fuel rail. It's a huge problem and a massive fire hazard, so we have to fix that. Unfortunately, I don't know how to weld titanium, so we're gonna have to work on a solution with that, but I'm not gonna let that slow us down because I still have a ton of work to do. Let's continue trying to make this car run by installing Andrew's icebox.
Now the sole point of the icebox is to circulate cool water from the icebox through to the manifold where it'll allow the air charge temps to drop even more drastically, and this becomes even more important when racing in hot weather conditions. So now while this ice water mix will cool down the air intake temperature significantly, ice has a limited lifespan, so we need to wire up a switch to make sure that the water is not circulating and melting the ice prematurely while we're in line waiting to race. So in order to be able to shut off the icebox pump when we need to, we custom fabricated a carbon fiber panel to go right underneath the driver's side where we're gonna mount both our methanol injection controls and the pump switch. Now before we go ahead and wire up the pump and the switch for the icebox, we need to go ahead and install our manifold and get those lines connected. So now although we did go with CSF super manifold on the first build and it did amazing, we knew we could do one better by upgrading to the Race X manifold. Now the Race X manifold is a 25% larger core than the super manifold, and it allows for more surface area, which greater improves your cooling of your charged air temperature. It can be run in either single or dual pass configurations and has optimized flow. And one of the best things about this is it has a port right on the front for easy use with an icebox. And even though we're going more race car, we decided to bring back some of the original flair with the orange powder coating. So with that said, we've got a decent amount of work to do, so let's go ahead and get it installed.
At this point, we have the icebox installed. All of the lines are run up to the CSF manifold, which is also installed. We also went ahead and filled the coolant system with distilled water. When you're in competitive racing, like we're going to be doing with Andrew's car, coolant is banned at many of the tracks because coolant, if you spill any, it is extremely slippery, so you have to use distilled water. Now, while we're at it filling fluids, let's put the car back up in the air because I have to fill up the front diff, the rear diff, the transfer case, and the transmission. But while we're there, we're also going to be upgrading to a PPE pan for the trans, which gives us additional fluid capacity. So with that, let's put the car up in the air and get started. All right, next up, we're going to fill the engine with special break-in oil that's recommended by KLM. Now, for these builds, you have to do a lot of oil changes, especially early on. So let's get it in there. All right, and last up, I have Licomali's turbocharger additive. We use this on everything from stock turbo replacement to these giant single turbos. What it does is it allows initial lubrication. It sticks inside the turbo and allows it to be properly lubricated, giving your oil system time to reach the turbo to make sure that you don't burn out your brand new, super expensive turbo. Again, we use it on stock cars and big turbos, so let's throw it in. And that's how easy it is to protect your big investment.
Next up, we're gonna be installing these port injectors. Now, these injectors are available on Kies.com, where we have everything from performance and aesthetic mods to tools and gear. And if you need help with your build, big or small, you can reach out to our team at info@Kies.com. The injectors we'll be using on this build are from Fuel Injector Clinic and are 2150cc injectors. Now, these injectors do come with a Denso connector. However, there is an available plug-and-play adapter so that you can use this with your current harness. So now we're ready to go get them installed.
At this point, we have all things fueling and cooling fully installed on the car, and we are so close to starting it, but I can't start the car until we fix the dump tube issue. As you may remember from earlier in the video, it's literally touching the fuel line, and if we have that hot exhaust on the fuel line, well, so now we need to take a break, although we're so close, and take the car back to the fabricator so he can make a couple changes. Now, while we're there, we're also going to have our fabricator custom make a belly pan for Andrew's car. A belly pan basically sits underneath the vehicle, and if there is an incident, like what happened to him before with coolant spraying out, or maybe your motor blows up and there's pistons and engine parts that are flying around, it contains everything, keeping you as a driver safe, would have been helpful to have, and also other drivers that are going to do passes after you, making sure that they're not gonna slide into the wall. So with that, let's load up the car on the trailer and go back to the fabricator. All right, we're back here dropping the car at Action Fab, but we'll see you guys back in 3, 2, 1.
All right, so it's been a few days. We're here at Action Fab with Joe. He's gonna give us a little bit of a rundown on what he did to the car.
So we changed the hood exit slightly to give a little more clearance to the fuel lines. We changed the trim ring so that everything closes in properly, looks right. We added 3 pie cuts just to get the angle back to where it should be in the hood. It kept the O2 sensors in a good location, so everything worked out nicely there. And then we added a belly pan to the bottom of the car. Belly pans are a requirement now for Texas 2K and some NHRA events. Weighs about 7 pounds and it mounts to factory holes in the cross member, so easy on and off, good to go.
All right, the belly pan and the dump tube came out amazing, super happy with the results. So now we're going to load up the car on the trailer, head back to the studio where we're going to finish up Andrew's car and finally make it run. Now, while the car was at the fabricator, we had some time to design our own mirror deletes. If you take a look over here at the carbon door, there is a hole where the mirror used to be. The mirrors not only are about 20 pounds, but they're also not very aerodynamic. So by having a flat piece of plastic like this, it's gonna make the car faster and lighter. So with that, let's throw on our creation. All right, it's finally time for the last piece, the DME. Then we can flash this car and finally get it started. Let's drop it in. It's time for the first start. All right, try one more time. There's always next time. Now, don't worry, we're just kidding. What you have to do when you first start up one of these engines is you have to prime it. And basically what you do is you disable your spark, you disable your fuel, and that makes sure that all of the oil is flowing through the system. So now that everything is properly lubricated, I'm going to reinstall the spark plugs, the coil packs, and then I'm going to connect the DME and we'll start it for real. All right, for real this time, light it up. The turbo's spinning. Come on, buddy, you can do it. All right, try again. Yeah, buddy! It's alive! It's alive! Sounds like a pissed off cow. All right, so a few weeks have passed. We've been getting the car track ready. We did the base tune. We got an alignment at BMW. We put the windshield back on. We retorqued the head several times to make sure this one stays together. But now we're finally ready to see just how much horsepower Andrew's car actually makes. So with that, let's throw it on the dyno.